Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. As you guys know, about 3 or 4 days ago, we reported some news that was centered on Joy Taylor. As a matter of fact, we have an updated article that was just published by Front Office Sports, which was published yesterday. I want to quickly read the headline. It says, Joy Taylor still sidelined from FS1 Speak. It continues on. Joy Taylor's absence from FS1 Speak has reached a second week. Last week, Front Office Sports reported that Taylor was sidelined by FS1 from appearing on their Ensemble talk show. The reason why the network made the decision remains unclear, and a Fox Sports spokesperson declined to comment. Taylor has now been out for 6 consecutive shows following a vacation from the program. Her social media accounts still indicate that she is a host for it, and as does the TV guide on cable systems. Taylor was named along with FS1 boss Charlie Dixon and former network host Skip Bayless in a lawsuit filed by former Fox hairstylist Nushin Faraji early this year. Bayless left the network last year, and The Athletic reported Dixon was placed on leave by the network after a second lawsuit was filed by former on-air personality Julie Stewart Binks. So that's kind of where we are right now. So this morning, I was just kind of combing through the internet here, and I came across a pretty serious piece of news. And I got this information from the website awfulannouncing.com, and it had the following headline saying, Fox's motion to move workplace misconduct lawsuit to federal court denied. And I was like, wait a minute, this thing looks like it's getting pretty serious here. So this is the article that we want to get into right now. Okay, the article then continues on by saying, Fox Sports has hit a snag in its defense of the bombshell workplace misconduct lawsuit filed by a former hairstylist early this year. A court filing submitted to the Los Angeles Supreme Court on Monday denied Fox's motion to move the workplace misconduct lawsuit to a federal court. Instead, the case will be heard in the Los Angeles court where the original lawsuit was filed. This suit, brought by former Fox Sports hairstylist Nushin Faraji, alleged widespread workplace misconduct at the network. Specifically, Faraji named former FS1 host Skip Bayless and current FS1 host Joy Taylor and Fox Sports executive Charlie Dixon as defendants in the lawsuit and perpetrators of a toxic workplace environment. Amongst the most shocking accusations, Faraji claims Skip Bayless proposition to pay her $1.5 million for sex. Taylor discriminated against her based on the basis of her ethnicity, and Dixon touched her inappropriately at a party. However, Faraji's original lawsuit included less salacious accusations, including claims that Fox failed to provide proper overtime compensation. Fox used the allegations to attempt to move the case to federal court, which the network presumably saw as a more favorable jurisdiction for the case. According to Monday's filings, Faraji's team has amended the original suit to remove these accusations from the complaint, making Fox motions to move the case to federal court. Concurrently, Fox is also dealing with a separate lawsuit filed by former FS1 talent Julie Stewart Binks, who came forward with similar allegations of sexual misconduct shortly after Faraji's lawsuit was filed. Excuse me. So you heard what this article has to say here. What are my thoughts on this? Well, I'm beginning to believe that there may be some merit to this case, right? There may be some merit to this case, given the fact that they just got denied the motion that they tried to put forward. They were denied, and now they have to be heard in the Los Angeles Supreme Court, where the suit was originally filed. So where's all of this going? Well, we have to look at what's happened. Obviously, this news came out after Skip Bayless was let go from the network. Right now, did the network, were they aware that maybe something like this was possibly brewing on the horizon? Who knows? And maybe they were like, okay, let's kind of make a preemptive move by getting rid of Skip Bayless. I don't believe so. I could be wrong. I think Skip's removal from the network had a lot to do with the ratings of Undisputed, the former show Undisputed, which has now been rebranded as I believe the facility, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't really think has anything to do with that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it does. But Skip is no longer there, right? So just imagine if this lawsuit had came out if Skip was still there, or rather if Skip was still there at the height of his powers. It would have been a really big distraction, and it would have caused some serious issues for them. So Skip is not there. But in the case of Joy Taylor, I mentioned this before, and I want to reiterate my original thoughts, which were usually when things like this come out, the first step that companies like this, networks like this do is they immediately suspend the person in question. I mean, hell, you remember the Michael Irvin situation that happened at that hotel. He was just simply accused, and they got him up out of there, right? They got him up out of there immediately, and then he went to go now defend himself, and I think ultimately he succeeded. But in the case of Joy Taylor, she was still able to show up to work. Hell, she was even there for the Super Bowl coverage. Right? She was there for the Super Bowl coverage. So to see them now all of a sudden pull her from their on-air show, it now begins to make one wonder, well, is there some truth here? Right? Because if there wasn't any truth to this lawsuit, then why isn't she still on air? Right? Why isn't she still on air? Or did they break their standard procedure, which is, in cases like that, when you have salacious lawsuits like the one that came out, the 42-page lawsuit that came out a month or so ago, usually you suspend the person. And maybe they decided, you know what, we're going to back her, we're going to stay with her. But then as time went on, they then began to discover that, oh, wait a minute, that may have been a blunder on our part. Maybe it would have made more sense for us to suspend her sooner. Just the other day, we produced a show about it. Not Skip Bayless, Paul Pierce and Keyshawn Johnson were cracking up about it, making jokes about it, like, man, it's rough out here, right? It's rough out here, because they host a show with her. And she's very much the moderator, and she's probably the glue person on that show. So now they got to do the show on the fly. You've been noticing Rick Bucher has been showing up there a lot more, or at least filling in the space that she used to be in, right? And it's causing these guys to kind of modify the way that they produce the show. So they were kind of making jest of it. Where do I think all of this is going? Something in me is telling me that this case has legs, right? Something is telling me that this case has legs. And I also have the feeling that Joy may not be returning back to FS1. That's the feeling I have. I don't hope so, because I don't hope for anybody to be out of a job, not at all. But that's the feeling that I have. And I think the people that we need to pay close attention to, I said this before in the previous show, and I'm going to reiterate it now. The people we need to pay close attention to as more information comes out are Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock, because these guys were at the network when a lot of these things are going on, and they're going to be able to give us a unique insight to what in terms of reading between the lines of what this lawsuit is saying, that I don't think anybody else out there is going to be able to give us. So you guys need to also stay glued to their channels when it comes to their coverage of this particular story. So the question is simply this: do you think that this thing is going to get worse? And do you ultimately believe that Joy Taylor is going to lose her job? And obviously Skip Bayless is going to be brought back into the situation. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next show. The talk of the town, and one of the biggest conversations we're having right now is the coverage of the NBA media, right? How it's skewing towards the negative side. A lot of the foreign players and fans are being too negative towards the current crop of NBA players, and we need to cut it out. And today players have it harder than they've ever had it before, and all of this. And yesterday, we produced a series of shows kind of pushing back on some of these narratives. Okay. Jamie Foxx came out there and tried to scold a bunch of NBA fans, and I'm like, Jamie Foxx is here talking. Jamie Foxx, who was hating on Kobe Bryant for years and years and years and years. The video's right there on our channel. Jamie Foxx. Like, who are we kidding here? We did shows talking about the negative coverage that Michael Jordan used to receive, that Kobe Bryant used to receive. So why are we all of a sudden acting like as if this is something new? I think a lot of this has to do with the simple fact that a lot of these modern day players are just very, very sensitive people. And the reality is, given the fact that they're very, very sensitive, everything is deemed as some type of slight against them. So this morning I was doing some research, and I came across a pretty interesting article here from basketballnetwork.com. And it has the title saying, "This is the nicest era to play, the nicest era to be an NBA star that we've ever had, Bill Simmons challenges LeBron James's perspective on criticism. Now, I don't want to make this a video about me hating on LeBron James or anything like that, right? I don't want to get into all of that. Oh, you're hating on LeBron James. People message me, man, leave LeBron James alone. Stop hating on the king. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not hating on LeBron, right? I'm not hating on LeBron. LeBron has actually helped me out a lot over the last few weeks because I made some picks with him and LeBron came through, which brings us to our newest sponsor and the reason why we're so excited to introduce our newest sponsor, Underdog Sports. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Is also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Underdog is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. The app is super simple to use. Just make 2 to 8 picks on your favorite player stats and choose whether they go higher or lower. You can also 20 extra money if you make 5 picks and you get all of them right. Just the other day ago, I made some picks against the Mavs. I picked LeBron James to go higher than 24.5 points. I picked Kyrie Irving to go higher than 36.5 points. And I picked Luka Doncic to go higher than 7.5 assists. And I got all of them right? I got all of them right. I made my money. I only put down $5, made up, I think, $27. So I did my thing and I had a lot of fun. So if you guys want to get in on the fun, visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register using our promo code DreamersPro and claim your free pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credit. Up to $1,000, you heard me right. And for the first 100 people that do that, to use our code, sign up, screenshot it, send it to us. We're going to give y'all 3 months of our membership. Absolutely free. All you got to do is hit the link in the comment section below. We have it there. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit that link and go do your thing and let's have some fun, right? So I ain't mad at LeBron James like that, but nevertheless, we still got to get into this article. So let's get into what this article had to say here. Okay, so let's get into what this article had to say here. It continues on. In the latest episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, the veteran NBA analyst responded to LeBron James's claim that nobody wants to be the face of the NBA league, of the league, due to how harsh the media is towards the players in modern era. Simmons refuses to believe that's the case. As someone who has covered the league for quite some time now, the Ringer CEO explained why he feels that today's players have it easier compared to players in the past. LeBron started this whole thing about the face of the game and how negatively everybody covers the league. I think this is the nicest era to be an NBA star that we've ever had. If you go backwards to the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s and how players were treated and discussed, it was no contest. It was the 1970s. People hated the NBA. The games were taped, delayed, and people about the league, Simmons says. Simmons cites the perfect examples. Boston native added that one of the biggest reasons players today feel that there's more negativity in the league is because they have access to these type of coverages. This is where social media comes into play because it's become the bridge between the players and the media, which wasn't the case back in the day. Perhaps Simmons is pointing out that with the presence of social media, coverage around the league has increased, thus making it easier for criticism to be remembered and heard. While social media is certainly a big factor in today's coverage, that doesn't mean athletes today are viewed differently. In fact, the Podfather broke down how the Hall of Famers were covered by the media in the past. Dr. J gets to Philadelphia. He's ripped for not winning a title for the first 6 years until Moses gets there. It's a huge narrative of the Dr. J thing. Magic Johnson, Westhead, gets fired in 81. He's booed at home. Most selfish guy, what's wrong? These are the modern athletes. He went through all of that bleep. And he still talked about. Charles Barkley is basically driven out of Philly by the media. Isaiah got the reputation as an a-hole and backstabber and then left him off the dream team. He continued. Michael Jordan, too selfish to win for 7 years. And then after he won twice, it was so negative about the gambling stuff, he stopped talking to everybody. He stopped talking to the media. And then he retired. And some people like, is he retiring because the pressure is too much, he added. The analysts who cited those examples, such as how Shaquille O'Neal was criticized for his approach to fitness and for not taking basketball seriously, he added that Kobe Bryant was the most picked apart athlete in the 2000s, while the likes of Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, and Dirk Nowitzki also underwent their own scrutiny. In short, nobody was safe back in the day. Simmons may be correct. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things there. What are my thoughts about this? Bill Simmons summarizes perfectly. And I don't think he did anything except give you guys a history lesson. All right? Because some people they don't have the information. That's the problem. And those that do have the information that are narrative driven are withholding that information from you guys because they want to get across a particular point or agenda. What he just mentioned, he didn't make up. He didn't make this stuff up. This actually happened, but I'll take it a step further. All right? I'll take it a step further. People complain about the social media and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da, blah, 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 blah. How can you complain about something that is helping your league grow and your sport grow and is contributing to the billions and billions of dollars that you guys enjoy? Hell, whenever I hear them talk about the NBA, they'll be like, we got 1 billion views on this app and this app and this app. Well, who's watching? Is it a bunch of zebras and goats watching? Is it a bunch of crocodiles sitting by the Nile River, with their passing across their smartphones? Hey man, do you see that dunk? Who's watching these games? Is it a bunch of buzzards that are just flying all over the place? I think it's people, right? So the very people that you're complaining about are the very reason you guys are making all that money, because they're giving you guys the eyeballs. But then they're not saying all positive things. So, oh my God, I got my feelings hurt. I think at the core of this, this just speaks to an absolute sensitive generation of guys. Now, what is interesting, however, is the following. You have older guys that are supposed to be past these emotions of being so damn sensitive and soft and sweet about things. They're now trying to coddle the younger guys. No, don't say that to them. You'll hurt their feelings. You say that, they're going to cry. Don't do that. Get me the bib. Let's put a bib around his neck. Let's just rock him in our arms. I mean, he's 25 years old. He's making millions of dollars, but he's emotionally fragile. We got to be careful how we speak to him. Get the honey. Like, what are we talking about? At the heart of all of this, we're talking about a generation of men that are so damn sensitive. Just imagine you're making millions of dollars. Bro, I don't make millions of dollars a year. And I don't be giving a damn about what these dudes be talking about. People be sending me I heard they were dissing me on YouTube and I didn't even see the post. Like, yo, you heard what so-and-so said about you? Nope. I didn't see it. You want to see it? Nope. I got no interest. I got money in my pocket. I could give a damn what you talking about. So now imagine being worth 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 1.5 billion, whatever. But your feelings are being hurt. You need to go do some push-ups. You need to go do some push-ups and go for a walk, son. Go outside. Get off your phone and go outside. Go get some fresh air. Go for a jog. Go play some golf. Go get you some food or something. Go bowling and relax. Where you be at that you be having all of the time and emotions to be, oh man, I'm look at what they're saying about us. I'm wounded by what they're, man, stop with all of that weak. Like, that's what it is. A bunch of weak ass, you know what. Like, enough is enough with it. Enough is enough. Stop with all of that weak whining and complaining and crying. When Jordan and Kobe and all of them were being screwed, I never heard them crying about it. I never heard Allen Iverson crying about it. So why are you crying about it? Today, we got a really special show for you guys. We're going to be going back to our roots, where we really get into these long, research shows that we used to do in the past. I said, hey, let's give the audience a treat here today. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. For those of you that have been subbed to us for some years now, you guys know we used to do these very, very, very long shows where we just kind of really get into the nitty gritty of a particular idea that I have and really flesh it out for you guys. And I said, okay, let's try that today. These videos usually take a lot more time to kind of research, but they're also a lot of fun because you spend all that time researching, you want to share what you found, right? So there's been this discussion out there of, you know, the greatest players of all time and all of that. The vast majority of NBA fans believe that it's Michael Jordan, and I tend to concur with the vast majority of fans. I believe it's Michael Jordan. I don't believe it's really close, even though Kobe is my favorite player of all time, right? But one of the things that has been held against Jordan, there's very little you can, but I'm talking the basketball court, but one of the things that's been held against him is the twilight years of his career as a Washington Wizard, right? Some people that don't believe that Jordan is a GOAT view those years as an opening to say, hey, man, we got a shot at really bringing this guy down and poking some holes in his resume. And I've always maintained that, look, you got the guy's career is flawless, right? And I just began to kind of get tired of hearing people bring up that point. So I then started to do some investigation. Some of this stuff I already knew, some of it I discovered today. But I already had the feeling that most of these guys trying to make this argument and bringing Jordan down and pointing to his Wizard years, like he wasn't that good. I'm like, these guys don't really understand that. In fact, if you look at Jordan's years as a Wizard, as a 39-year-old and 40-year-old, there's no question that Michael Jordan is still the most impressive 40-year-old to ever play basketball. And I personally don't even believe it's close. But I just don't want to say that and then not back it up. So today, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So let's get into that right now. Okay. So first of all, let's look at Jordan's numbers at the age of 39 and 40. At 39, when he returned to the NBA, Jordan was playing 35 minutes a game. He was scoring 22.9 points per game. Let's just say 23 to round it up. He was shooting 41.6% from the field. He was shooting 19% from the three-point line, 79% from the free throw line, while getting you 5.7 rebounds, 5.2 assists per game, and 1.4 steals. The subsequent year, when he was 40, he played all 82 games that year, because the year before he got hurt badly, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. He averaged 37 minutes a game as a 40-year-old. He scored 20 points a game on 44.5% shooting, 29% shooting from the three, while shooting 82% from the free throw line and getting you 6.1 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1.5 steals, right? So people look at those numbers and they immediately say, man, Jordan was washed, man. If you look at Jordan was washed. I'll concede the following to you. Jordan was washed compared to the Chicago Bulls Jordan. But then, I mean, you could say everybody's washed compared to the Chicago Bulls version. So you ain't really saying much. Jordan is washed in comparison to himself. But then if you juxtapose any other player in the history of the sport, they look washed compared to that Jordan too. Okay, Pumpkin? Let's just say that. But let's dig a little deeper. In that 2001 season, MJ averaged 5.2 assists per game. Do you know the last time Michael Jordan averaged that many assists in a season, or more assists than that in a season? Was in the 1994 season. Are you aware of that? That's when Jordan was still in his prime. But let's take a step further. Let me explain to you the reasons I believe that Jordan is the most impressive 40-year-old to ever play in the NBA. I'm going to give you 3 specific reasons, and we're going to break this down. Number 1, his cast. Number 2, style of play. And number 3, era. Those are the 3 reasons that we're going to get into today that are going to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt that Michael Jordan is still the most impressive 40-year-old that ever played basketball. First of all, let's look at Jordan's teammates during that period, because I think it's important, because it tells a real story. Let's look at who Jordan was playing with. He was playing with players Courtney Alexander, Kwame Brown, Hubert Davis, Richard Hamilton, Brendan Haywood, Popeye Jones, Christian Laettner, Ty Lue, Tyrone Netsby, Bobby Simmons, Ian Thomas, shout out to Ian Thomas, follow him on IG, Jahadi White, and Chris Whitney. Let's look at the teammates he played with the subsequent year. Kwame Brown, Brian Cardinal, Juan Dixon, if you guys remember him, Anthony Goldwire, Brendan Haywood, Larry Hughes, if you guys remember him, LeBron's former team running mate, Jared Jeffries, Christian Laettner, Tyronn Lue, Charles Oakley, Byron Russell, Bobby Simmons, Jerry Stackhouse, Ian Thomas, and Jahadi White. Now, why am I bringing up his teammates? Okay, why am I bringing up his teammates? I'm bringing up his teammates to explain to you or to draw a parallel between his teammates and his scoring. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Of these guys that I mentioned, which one of these players was a top 75 caliber player on either of those years? The answer is nobody, right? So it was quite clear to see that Jordan was not playing with a top 75 guy on his roster, right? He didn't have a top 75 player. And therefore, because he didn't have a player that caliber of talent, that level of talent, it made it harder for him to score. Because defenses could key in on him. He wasn't playing with Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, these Chris Paul or some Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant. He wasn't playing James Harden. He didn't have any of those type of teammates, right? Any of those type of teammates. But he was still able to go out there and do what he did. And by the way, if Jordan even played today, I would always have my money on him, which is one of the reasons we're super excited to announce our newest partner, Underdog Sports. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. The app is super simple to use. Just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite player and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. And if you make 5 picks and you get all of them right, you're going to 20x your money. Absolutely crazy stuff. Make sure you visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register using our promo code DreamersPro to claim your free pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credit. And by the way, for the first 100 people who do sign up using our code, sign up using Dreamers Pro, we're going to be giving you guys 3 months free of our Dreamers Pro community, our membership that we have there. All you got to do is just sign up, hit the link in the description that we have. Make sure you use our code, make your first pick, screenshot it, send it to us, and you're going to get 3 months free. Please make sure you go ahead and do that. And let's get back into today's show. So Jordan was not playing with top of the shelf talent. He didn't have the top talent in the NBA at the time on his roster, which made it more difficult for him to score. And he was still somehow able to score buckets. So we've addressed his teammates. Now let's look at style of play. Jordan, predominantly for his career, was a mid-range shooter, and he drove to the basket. He even did a show where he explained his philosophy on why he didn't like to take so many threes. So I dug a little bit deeper to look at his actual shooting percentages from various distances on the floor during those 2 years. MJ was shooting about 61% from 0 to 3. He was shooting about 36% from 3 to 10 feet, 43% from 10 to 16 feet, 42% from 16 to the three-point line, and around 29% from the 3. Now, some of you will hear that number, that 29%, and say, you see, Michael Jordan is absolutely terrible. He's terrible. But that's not the truth. I think we can all agree the more you do something, the better you'll get at it, right? The more you practice something, the better you'll be at it. I think we can all assume that by conventional wisdom. No one is going to be the contrarian here in the room and say, well, no, we're going to just assume that that's the case. The more you work at something, the better you'll become. We all agree with that. Given that we all know this intrinsically, we will then understand why Jordan didn't shoot so well from the 3. It's because Jordan for those 2 years was attempting 0.7 threes a game and 0.9. Jordan was attempting less than 1 3-point attempt per game. Less than 1. Less than 1. But he still found a way to average 23 a game and 20 a game. So how do you do that? How do you average less than 1 3-pointer a game, but still are able to average 23 points a game, 23 points a game, and 20 points a game? How do you do that? It almost seems impossible when you think about it. And I'm actually trying to see if I can find it. I don't know why it didn't occur to me to check then, but I want to check now. Let me see if I can find MJ's totals. I'm using basketballreference.com. I'm sure they don't have it here. Oh, they do have it. Let's see. How many 3-pointers did Michael Jordan make that year as a Washington Wizard? So as a Washington Wizard, Michael Jordan attempted on the season in 60 games, he attempted 53 threes. The following season, he attempted 55. Jordan in 2001 made 10 threes. The next year, he made 16. I think some of you watching this show are beginning to realize where all of this is going. And you're really beginning to realize, wait a minute, this dude is really, whoa, he taking it somewhere right now. You're really beginning to get a little peek into just how damn good this. I said it before, and I've been saying it for years. Jordan is the only player that I've noticed that the more you research his career, the freakier the numbers get. It's actually freaky. So we know that he wasn't attempting threes. One year he made 10 threes. The next year he made 16 threes. Imagine making 10 3-pointers in a season, or 16 and averaging 23. How do you do that? How do you do that? Let's put this into context. LeBron attempts were at 39 and 30 and 40, 5.1 and 5.8. He makes about 2.3, which means LeBron scores about 6.9, let's say 7 points a game on 3-pointers, right? That it contribute to his offense. If Jordan attempted the same amount of threes, making the same, his averages would look something like this: 27 points per game and 29.8. by simply attempting more threes. But MJ never attempted threes. As a matter of fact, for Michael Jordan's career, he only attempted 1.7 threes per game and made 0.5 per game, and still somehow found a way to lead the league in scoring 10 times. I don't know how he does it. Has the highest regular season scoring average, has the highest playoff scoring average. I mean, I just don't know how he does it. It must be magic. I mean, I don't know how he does it. I mean, Jordan, he's a GOAT. I mean, they be saying he's a GOAT, but it looks like he is, isn't he? But we're not done yet. We're going to keep giving y'all that work today. We're not done. We're not even close to being done right now. Okay, now let's look at style of play. As I was saying, Jordan was predominantly a mid-range shooter, and a guy that drove to the basket. And he already explained why he did that, because his philosophy was, if he took too many threes, it would take away from his aggressiveness. In those years when MJ was a Wizard, he shot 61%. Right, let's go into the shooting percentages, the advanced numbers. 61% from 0 to 3. He shot 36% from 3 to 10 feet, 43% from 10 to 16 feet, 42% from 16 to three-point line, and 29% from the three-point line. Now, I know some people now hear that number and say, man, Michael Jordan was terrible. 29% of three-point shooter? That's terrible. Let me ask you guys a question. The more you do something, isn't it likely you get better? I think we can all agree. The more you do a particular thing, you're going to become better at that thing. We can all agree with this on an intrinsic level, right? On a very basic level, we can all agree with that. Fantastic. So some people looking at that and that saying it's terrible, it's not the reality. It's actually not true. Michael Jordan those 2 years was attempting 0.7 threes and 0.9 threes a game. Let me repeat the number. 0.7 and 0.3. 1 year, let me say this for you guys, he was averaging less than 1 threes a game, and the other year he was averaging less than 1 3, but still he averaged 23 and 20. How did he do that? With only attempting 1 3 a game, less than 1 3. As a matter of fact, do you know that one of those years MJ only made 10 threes? And the other year he made 16. So ask yourself a question. How can somebody, you just think about it, watching NBA basketball today, how could somebody average 23 points in a season but only make 10 threes? I said this before and I'm going to say it again. Michael Jordan is the only NBA player that I have noticed that the more you look into his career, the freakier it gets. This dude's career numbers are freaky. Like, it's weird. The dude scored 23 a game in a season while making 10 threes. As a wing player. To put that into context, LeBron is attempting about 5.1 threes and 5.8 during the years of 39 and 40 years old while making about 2.3 threes a game, right? That roughly comes out to about 6.9 points per game, let's say 7 points a game. If Jordan attempted the same threes and made the same amount of threes as LeBron James did, and there's no reason why Jordan wouldn't be able to do something LeBron couldn't, Jordan's numbers would have looked like the following: 27 points a game and 29.8 points per game at the age of 39 and 40. But MJ never attempted threes. As a matter of fact, for Michael Jordan's career, he only attempted 1.7 threes a game. Now ask yourself this question: how does a guy that only attempts 1.7 threes a game have 10 scoring titles, has the highest regular season scoring average, has the highest playoff scoring average? The only way you can explain that is by just coming to the conclusion that most of us have come to, which is Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Now let's get to the third pillar of my argument, which is eras. Let's look at the eras. When MJ was on the Wizards, teams were averaging about 96.9 points per game, but to round it up, let's say 97 points a game. In the 2020s, teams are averaging about 112.6 points per game, which means that teams are scoring today 15 and a half more points per game. So what does that all really mean? Let me prove to you now why I said Michael Jordan is easily the best 40-year-old who ever played. If you don't watch any other part of this video, watch this part, send it to your friends, send it to your haters, let them all see. Let them all see. Okay? Let's look at the total percentage of the offense that Jordan was contributing. For context, LeBron produces about 22 to 23% of his team's offense. In 2001, the Wizards were scoring 93 points a game. 2001, 93. Jordan was contributing about 25% of his team's offense. In 2002, when the Wizards were scoring 91.5 points per game, Jordan contributed about 22% of the offense while playing 37 minutes per game at the age of 40, while playing all 82 games, and oh, by the way, while dealing with injuries like a broken rib and knee and wrist tendonitis. We're not talking about ankle soreness, folks. We're talking about legitimate injuries. So MJ was playing with serious injuries. So given the fact that we've looked at MJ's teammates, his style of play, and his era, Michael Jordan is easily the most impressive 40-year-old that we've ever seen. Easily. And let me put it in this context for you guys. Let's not look at Jordan in the 2000s. Let's put Jordan, that Wizards Jordan, in the 2020s. Let me tell you what his stat line would look like. Jordan would be averaging about 30 points a game with around 7.5 assists and 7 rebounds at 40. And this can be easily proven. You don't even need to argue. This is not the part where we argue. This is the part where we all come to where we all agree. The reason we know that this is true and it can be proven as a fact, the fact is today there are more possessions, meaning there are more rebounds, meaning there are more assists, which means that there are more points available to be scored. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Michael Jordan is the most impressive 40-year-old we ever seen. And to make you guys really think about something, Jordan was doing all that while playing defense, by the way. But to make you guys think about something, given that Jordan was putting up those numbers, what do you think LeBron's numbers would be if you put him in the 2000s